What's up, knuckleheads, and welcome to today's video where I am already sweating like a crackhead doing a math problem. And behind me, I've also got another frustrated gentleman in none other than Gene, the Flukemaster Jensen. The reason that he's frustrated is he called me and said, hey man, let's go fishing, let's go filming. I said, all right, cool. Bring your river 119. And he's like, oh, sweet. But I think he thought we were going to the river, but we're not. Let's let these cars pass and I'll finish telling you what we're doing.
Chad Hoover, I hate you.
All right, so if there's one thing that you know about Gene is that he has got one of the most over-rigged fishing kayaks in the world. But with that, he's got a place for everything and everything in its place. So if you ask him to move to a new kayak and go to a place that he's not familiar with, it's like a Chinese fire drill, basically. So Gene's over here slinging stuff around, throwing stuff, doesn't know where half his stuff is. But when he pulled up, he said, where are we going? Got another truck coming, give me a second. Oh man, that felt good. So we're at one of our little sneaky beside the road spots where we're gonna go back into the backwaters of Lake Guntersville, and we're gonna chase some big old hungry bass as the sun's going down, and then we're gonna hang out and fish until the middle of the night trying to get a big old middle of the night giant. So I had Gene meet me, and then I didn't tell him where we're going, so then he followed me to the water. So when we pulled up, he's like, where are we launching? And I was like, right over there. He's like, right where? And I'm like, right there. He's like, right where? I'm like, you see that cut in the woods? We're going through there. Then we're gonna wade through about 30 yards of mud. Then we're gonna get in the boats and we're gonna go that way about 30 minutes, and then we're gonna start fishing. So, Gene, you ready?
No, but let's do it anyway.
So if you notice, there's a theme to some of our latest videos. I've been inviting Gene to my turf, the shallow water, monster bass chasing. So we do these trips where you got to find them on a graph and you got to play this little game with these little teeny, like itsy bitsy baits. And he always catches a bigger fish than me and talks smack. So I've been bringing him on my turf so we can chase some actual big fish, not these like they just look big compared to a dink. And right now I've got these fish dialed. So Gene and I are gonna go out here and see if we can't lay the smack down on some of these fish while it's super hot. And the nighttime is the right time when it's hot like this. And then as we transition to a little bit later in the summer, before we start getting into that fall pattern, I'm gonna go out and let him show me around and show me up in the deeper water, because that's not my forte. So as we're learning from each other, we're gonna teach you guys. So his job is to teach the world to fish. I'm gonna use him to teach the world to fish through me in this video series. And I hope you guys enjoy this. I'm gonna share with you along the way some of the tips of my last 4 or 5 trips here, and we're gonna do some cutaways to those trips because I have absolutely been laying the smack down on some big fish. Hope you guys are gonna enjoy this video. Now we gotta drag our kayaks through the woods, get in some mud, paddle through some slop, and do one of my favorite things, which is to take kayaks where no boat can go and chase those fish where nobody else can throw. So here we go. Kind of sounded like Dr. Seuss there. We're going to take our boats where no boats can go and throw lures that nobody else can throw. And anyway, so here we go. You ready?
Yeah, I guess.
Get my crock out of the mud. There we go.
No, that's this.
This.
See what I'm saying, dude? There are giants in here. There he is. Gene. Yeah, buddy. That right there. Let me turn this around. Get a little sun on this dude. That's why you come to Guntersville and fish shallow in the summer, baby. All right, so we're fishing our way to the spot. We're not even there yet, and already got a nice Guntersville chunker. Look at that thing right there, son. That's called shoulders. That's a little stumpy right there. We'll get this girl back in the water, and then I'm gonna show you guys what I caught her on. So, man, those fish. Go ahead, girl. Go ahead, girl. Go ahead. Oh, there she goes. All right. So out here over the top of this topped out hydrilla, one of the best baits ever in the world is a ribbit. That thing right there is deadly. And the big reason is it's got these big feet on it. And those big feet give you a lot of action, even though there's hydrilla is topped out on the top. Same thing with duckweed. So my kind of 1, 2, 3 punch for fishing surface vegetation is if I'm fishing pockets where there's open water in the middle, I'm gonna go with a Zoom horny toad. If I'm fishing duckweed that's so thin that as the bait's coming through it, it's parting and then it goes back together, then I'm gonna fish a Zoom horny toad. Once the duckweed or the hydrilla gets so thick that that bait will no longer part it, then I'm gonna go to the ribbit. And when it gets to the point where the ribbit's legs won't create any action or disturb it to where the fish can't come up through it, then I'm gonna switch to a hollow body frog like this one here. That way I can kind of hop it and stop it, and it's kind of pushing that stuff, and it sits there a little bit better, and it sits nose up because of these belly weights, so that when they blow up on it, the hooks are down in that position to where they can easily get taken down. And so for me, the 1, 2, 3 punch is Zoom horny toad anytime the water's open or clear, or when it's high pressure and the water's slicked out. I go to a ribbit for coven water after that, and then once I locate fish on both of them and I know that there's fish in the area, then I'll switch back to the hollow body, and even sometimes kind of like a popper mouth hollow body. That way I can fish the bait a little bit slower. So I'm gonna use the ribbit and the Zoom horny toad as like a search bait to cover water, and then I'm gonna fish all of them on like a 7 foot or longer. In this case, I'm using the Foundation Series frog rod. This is a 7'2" heavy fast. Now, for you guys that don't do really well at not jerking the frog too soon, you want to probably drop down to more of a moderate, like a chatterbait rod or something with a little bit more moderate action. It kind of helps delay the hook set. But this is one of the best frog rods I've ever used. If I want a little bit longer rod, I'm going to switch to, say, the Shimano X Pride B in like a 7.6 or a 7.8. And when I do that, I go to a heavy fast. And so heavy fast for me with the frog, again, if you have a situation where you jerk the frog out of the fish's mouth too quickly, drop down to like a moderate, or a moderate fast, I should say, not a moderate. And that little bit of extra softness or a little bit slower action is going to help you with jerking the frog out of the fish's mouth. So again, 1, 2, 3 punch. Anytime the water's slicked out, or if I'm fishing open pockets, Zoom horny toad. If I'm fishing where I've got to throw it over the top of vegetation like duckweed or hydrilla, and I want to cover water, I'm going with the ribbit or the top toad, which is, the same company. And then after that, once I locate the fish, or if I'm throwing up into really thick pads or spatter dock or something like that, then I'm going to go to a hollow body frog. That way I can fish it and stop it. Fish it and stop it. That way it sits in the strike zone a little bit longer. So that's my 1, 2, 3 punch for catching fish on frogs. Got my buddy Gene out here because we're about to do a nighttime trip. So we're getting started when it's getting dark, and I think you guys are going to be in for a treat. I've already been catching them at night the last couple of weeks, and we had rain for the last 3 or 4 days, so this water's up a little bit. It's a little cooler, and I think these fish are going to be ready to chew tonight, so here we go. Got it. Oh, it's a big one.
Uber.
I'm talking about. Oh, it's freaking big. That's what I'm talking about. Look at that one.
You didn't want this one?
Oh my gosh, dude, that is what you come to Gunnersville for right there, baby. Woo! Golly, come here, you mother, come here, you big old nasty fish, come here. Yeah. Woo! That's why you come to Gunnersville, and that's why you fish out of a kayak, right there. Because there's a boat over there that can hear me hollering, but they can't do nothing about it. Boys and girls, look at that freaking tank right there, son. That is a giant. And that sucker somersaulted that bait. All right, so on the way over here, I was talking to Austin about how this type of fishing has really gotten me jacked up for chasing giants again. You know, this is how I've caught as many double-digit bass as I've caught in my life, and this pursuit of these hard-to-get-to fish has had me thinking about them when I'm not there. Meaning, when I'm off the water, they're talking to me. I can't think about anything else but getting back out here. And I literally told him, I said, man, these fish out here in this flat have been absolutely magic. And I did a couple of guided trips out here where the clients just missed monsters. And I was excited and my heart melted at the same time. So called Gene and said, hey, let's go chase some big fish at night. He was down for it. And we got out here a little bit early with the plan to be to fish at night. But with the feeding time, the last hour of daylight on Bass Forecast, I knew we would still have a really good opportunity at a big fish. And there's 1 or 2 bass boats been out here, but they just can't get back where we're at. And so this is exactly why I've been so jacked up about getting out here lately, is to catch big old freaking toads like that. I'm gonna put this fish up in the water, get it on a lip gripper, and then get it on the scale. That's by far the biggest fish I've caught in 2023. But we're gonna get a measurement on it. Look at the gut on that thing. Look at the head on that thing. So all these people that tell you you got to go deep and you got to be ledge fishing, you got to do all this crazy stuff in the summertime, you ain't got to. You just got to fish up in the thick stuff where nobody else can get to, find these unpressured fish. Dude, this fish came out of the water like a freaking bomb going off, almost like a somersault, a killer whale attack on this thing. So I'm going to get it back in the water. I forgot my catch board in the truck. I was so excited. Luckily, I've got a measurement I can do on my paddle, which will get me in the ballpark, and then I'm going to take a girth measurement, and we'll do the length to girth, and I'll be able to tell you how big I think this fish is. Don't have a scale on me. I got a pretty good guess because I've got a calibrated elbow over the years, but I at least want to get some measurements and get in the ballpark first. But yes, definitely my personal best for 2023. And I've been wanting to catch a big fish like this, so waited for the conditions to be right. We had some storms come through. Water's up a little bit. It cooled off a little bit, and we've got the whole nighttime is the right time thing going, but that last couple of hours before dark is always pretty good. And when you got it coinciding with a feeding time, you just can't beat that. So pretty much nobody in the parking lot at the boat ramp when we came by. We've got the water to ourselves out here. What are you guys doing? Y'all ledge fishing? You staying at home? You getting ready for college football? The big girls are eating. Come on, let's go catch one. I've got that fish dead on the 0, and it is, woohoo, 24 3/4 on the length. Now I got to figure out how to get the girth real quick, and then we'll measure the girth. Let me think for a second. What do I got I can measure the girth with? Right to the fattest spot. All right. Get her back in the water. Okay. So from right there to that knot is, let's see here, 18 inches. So we're going to do the old trusty length girth formula. 24.75 times girth 18 times girth 18 divided by 800. Booyah! 10.02375. Hey, listen, it's an inexact science, but I got the length, I got the girth down to the actual 1/8 of an inch. I actually shorted myself 1/4 of an inch, but like, for all intents and purposes, that fish is 10 pounds and some change, or plus or minus a shad sandwich from 10 pounds. But man, and there's fish just blowing up all over the place out here. All right, guys, so the sun dropped behind the trees. It got dark real fast. Now, hopefully, we're about to get into some big ones, but I mean, it can't get much better than that. That is a fish that I'm going to remember for a really, really long time. So we're going to let her swim away and go do her thing. Man, I love that powerful tail kick when they just make a boil. Ooh. Dude, I literally, when I was holding that fish up, like I was shaking. And I was like, this thing might be 10 pounds. And then I was like, I got to do a length girth, even if the haters are going to say it's not real. But like, that's a 10 pounder, dude. That thing is 24 3/4, and it had like that wide of a gut on it. You know what I'm saying?
I filmed the lure.
Uh-huh.
I'm talking about tight for 3 or 4 tries. I said, all right, it's, you know.
I told you, you are going to have to film.
If it's gonna happen, it would have happened with
No.
And then I said, all right, let's go get like the up close of the hands and or whatever. Just try to get some extra B-roll.
Dude, come look at this. She opened the hook up. That bitch bent the hook.
Put it right in front of your face so I can contrast. I'm still recording.
Oh my God, she literally bent the hook open. That thing is opened up 25 degrees. Yeah.
And then I heard, coo-coo, and you said, that's what you come to Gunnersville. And then I was like, oh. No.
I'll be honest with you, I thought it was a 7 or 8, and I was just gonna talk smack. But as soon as I felt her, I was like, oh wait, this is like a different.
But I got some good stuff of her jumping beside the boat, back. Oh, I don't really want to look at footage as soon as I get home, but I'm looking at this footage when I get home.
All right, guys, so listen, it was amazing that I caught that double-digit fish right before dark, but the sun's been down about an hour, and right at dark, the frogs go absolutely crazy, and it's deafening. You can still catch fish, it's just a little harder, and the mosquitoes kind of go crazy for about an hour. So we're about 2 hours after dark right now, and this is actually when I really get excited about the big fish. Again, your senses are heightened. You've turned the lights off, your night vision's adjust, you can see your lure, you know, coming through what ambient light there is. And this is when it really is going to happen. I mean, I would expect to catch the biggest fish now. It's kind of hard to top a double digit, but I wouldn't be surprised if we don't catch another fish, you know, 6 pounds, 7 pounds, 8 pounds. It's been pretty common to have shots at 6s and on a regular basis, and lots of 8s thrown in there. But, you know, catching a couple 6s, maybe even another fish approaching double digits is not out of the question. because we are in one of the places I like to refer to as Jurassic Park, and you know what Jurassic Park holds? It holds giants. So see if we can't get another one. All right, guys, so we can't really run the lights at night, so we pretty much have to catch these fish and then just, you know, bring you them after the fact, so that way we don't attract 1,000 bugs, and the lights actually probably spook fish and they ruin your night vision. But that is a freaking Guntersville giant right there. Second toad of the evening. Have had opportunities at 4 or 5 other ones that didn't capitalize on. That is an absolute freaking donkey. Thing's hurting my shoulder trying to hold it up. Put it back in the water for a second. But yeah, man, you know, it's not exactly the most exciting filming. So over the years, I've done this as kind of my fishing, but I'm starting to develop some lighting systems from YOLOtech and some other stuff from GoPro to where I can create a really good night filming setup. And Austin's got the big camera over there with the light on it, so we'll be able to bring you guys a lot more of this kind of stuff. But if you're not night fishing in the summertime, you are wrong, because nighttime is definitely the right time. I mean, look at that freaking toad right there. Ah, shoot. All right, guys, we're gonna get this girl back in the water, let her go do her thing, and then I'm gonna show you guys what I caught her on. So best part of the whole thing is that part right there. Love watching them swim away in the light like that. You know, a lot of people have a misconception that you can only catch these fish on like full moon nights, and actually the full moon was last weekend, and I come out here and I did catch quite a few on the full moon. I personally believe the week after the full moon, especially if it's a super moon, is actually better, because the feeding time coincides with dark, so you can get out and you can hit that last feeding time right before dark and then into night. And we really haven't even gotten into the primary feeding time, which is about 2.5 hours from now. So again, fish a little bit slower bait. So let me show you guys exactly what I caught that fish on. All right, guys, so these Stanley Ribbits are usually one of the, if not the best night fishing lures ever, because they got these big kicking legs on them. They create a heck of a commotion, but they have to be moving pretty fast to get the legs going, and they're not buoyant. And so missed 3 absolute giants on the frog, or on the ribbit, and Austin picked up a rod and actually missed a couple of big ones. I heard Gene miss a couple of big ones, so I decided that I needed to throw something that was a little slower. And so this Teckel is a hollow body frog. It's a little bit more torpedo shaped, but it's got a belly weight, which makes it hit the water up right side up every time, and it sits a little nose high until you start reeling it, and that tail spins, so it's almost like a subtle whopper plopper. I don't know if you can see that in the water right there, but it's almost like a subtle whopper plopper. And I knew that I could reel this a little bit slower, because they're blowing up on them, they're just not really chasing them. And so by having this thing where I could reel it a little bit slower, I was holding my rod tip up, and actually, let me just kind of show you. Basically, you make a cast out in the dark, you raise your rod tip up, and you want to be almost vertical like this. And I put my finger up the back of the blank. That way when the fish hits it, it kind of pulls it out of my finger, and I reel down and stick it. But you're just going to hold your rod tip up and slow reel it, almost with a little bit of swoop in the line. That way when the fish blows up on it, the slack helps set the hook. And what I'm fishing is I'm fishing on a Shimano Chronarch XG, which is the 8:1 gear ratio. And I'm fishing it on the Yak Rods 7'2" Foundation Series frog rod. And I normally fish a little bit longer frog rod, but with this shorter frog rod, I'm making shorter casts. That way when the fish blows up, it's not, you know, 100 feet away. And I just have a lot more control. And at night, you don't have to make these super long casts. Got a monster on this a little bit earlier, but the whole purpose of this trip was to come out here at night and demonstrate to you guys that you can absolutely catch some monsters at night. And yeah, man, 10-pounder right before dark, missed a couple of absolute giants, and then connected with another fish easily over 8 pounds. And so you can come out here any given time in the summertime, and when everybody else is fishing the ledges and fighting over boat ramps and parking during the middle of the day, you can find any of these little sneaky spots where you can get back in the lily pads and the duckweed and the hydrilla, and you can absolutely find these hydrilla gorillas. And there is nothing more adrenaline pumping than catching a big fish on topwater. it's even more exciting when you catch them on night because all your senses are heightened. You can see it, but you can't really see it. So when they blow up on it, it's just an extra sensory perception thing, and there's nothing better. There's literally, in my opinion, this is the pinnacle of bass fishing, is catching monster fish in the middle of the night on a topwater frog. And yeah, y'all want to come catch some big fish like this, come see me. All right, dude, they're blowing up around us. What'd you catch that one on?
One of those little ribbit frogs.
Nice, sound like a bomb going off.
You know, it's a good night when the cameraman can take a break and
And I know that's a big fish, but dude, it sounds like they're dropping bowling balls out of an airplane right now. Let's you know the better part, you know what's, you know anything better than catching her, right?
release them.
Yes, sir. Let's
So you
watch
can
her
catch them
swim
another
away.
day.
Go catch another one.
She read the script.
She sure did.
She's hired.
Well, listen, there's about 5 more blowing up back there behind you, so. Oh.
One last little goodbye. That right there is what we're catching them on.
Let's go get them, son. All right, so one of the reasons this Teckel is so deadly, you can see it right there. Those fish absolutely demolish it, and they end up with both of those hooks right through the top of their mouth. That happens almost every time, and when they're really big, it ends up buried inside their mouth. And man, that is a fat little chunker fish, and that's why there's such a healthy population of fish on Guntersville, and why there's like waves and waves of big fish. That little thing is square. You know what I'm saying? Probably only 16 and a half, 17 inches, but probably pushing almost 3 pounds. That thing is a little chunker. But I'm gonna let this guy go, and then I'm gonna show you guys a little bit closer look at this Teckel. All right, let's get this guy back in the water. Watch him just ease away. It's like he read the script. So when they blow this Teckel up, they pretty much turn it inside out every time. You just take the body and kind of squeeze it and pop it right back in there. And one of the things I like about it is it's super soft. Then it's got this belly weight. So if you notice, I'll drop it in the water right here. Pretty much every time it rights itself, and it sits a little nose up like that. And so when you pull it, you can make it spit. You can fish it like a regular hollow body, or when you steady reel it, that tail spins. And it is pretty much a weedless, a little bit more subtle whopper plopper action. That tail just coming through the water just creates such a commotion, and they absolutely demolish it. And the thing is just super sticky. I mean, anytime they smash that bait down, they're pretty much just stuck. So real soft body. I fish this thing in a whole bunch of different colors. I carry some replacement tails, and you pretty much can't beat the Teckel, as long as it's not so matted out that you can't fish it. But anytime you've got pockets or openings between lily pads, fishing in the river, that thing right there is flat deadly. All right, guys, so that's going to do it for tonight's video. I mean, this is what I do, and for years I've not filmed it. And of the, you know, the 10-pound bass that I've caught over the years, most of them have come either at night, in the middle of the night like we've done today, or right before dark. And you've got to be committed to fish into dark, to fish that close to dark, because when you're that far from the truck and you're not planning on fishing after dark, you're going to be either leaving too early or you're going to fish after dark, one of the two. So having the right lights and the right gear. I've got a Visicarbon Pro always in my boat if I need it. I've got headlights, I got backup lights, got flares, you know, all that stuff for safety. Got a couple radios, and other than that, you know, there's nights that I'll come out here and get here 2 hours before dark, fish up through the night, recline my seat back, put my PFD back part on the top of the black pack, catch a couple hours, wait back up and fish some more, and then fish out right into daylight and get that daylight bite. So anytime you can look at bass forecast or any way of predicting the feeding times, and you can get that feeding time that's right at dark and then around midnight, that entire time between dark and midnight is going to be one of the better times you can fish. It almost happens every time the new moon comes around or the week waning off of the supermoon. So guys, just listen, I've tried to do videos about this over the years. It's been very difficult. And so now that I got Austin, you know, really committed to trying to film this stuff that you guys need to see, I'll start bringing you a lot more of it. We're gonna start trying to figure out ways to do, push button lights. So as soon as you hook the fish, you can turn the lights on and see the fight and all that good stuff. But I just really wanted to convey the point that if you're looking for big fish in the summertime, you don't have to ledge fish, you don't have to go deep, you don't have to go fight a bunch of people out on the main lake. A lot of these big fish are back in these hard to get to, hard to reach places. This Bonafide RVR, like, I'm gonna be straight up with you. I used it because I had clients in another boat. Initially, this is by far the best boat I've ever used for paddling across the top of hydrilla, thick duckweed, through lily pads, over the top of lily pads. And yeah, this thing is by far the best boat I've ever used for this. So that was a happy accident. I didn't really know it was gonna be that good, but because of the way the seat works, and it's got that flat keel on it, so it's designed to slide up on the rocks, just goes right over the top of this stuff. And there's nothing like these Topwater like explosions. It's the only way I can explain it, is you've got no light, your senses are heightened, you're reeling it, and all of a sudden just boom, boom, the water erupts. You can see it in either the moonlight or after your night vision adjusts. And got to thank Gene for coming out here and toughing out the elements. This is not exactly his style of fishing, but growing up in the backwoods and the backwaters of Louisiana and Georgia and most places around the South, this is where I'm at home. Paddle in my hand. I ain't got a depth finder. I ain't got a motor. I'm just out here grinding it out where the big girls live. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will probably try to catch a couple more on the way back to the truck. Got about a mile and a half paddle. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Y'all leave a comment in the comment section below and let me know, do you like this kind of fishing? Would you like to see more of it? Is there any things you would like to know more about night fishing? And I'll do the best I can to answer those. One thing we're going to start trying to do is reply with shorts. So you guys leave a comment and I'll reply with a short video to give you a better response than I can by typing it out. So see y'all in the next one. Hey y'all, listen, North Alabama really is a place where fishing dreams come true. From top-notch guides to diverse fisheries to breathtaking scenery, head down to North Alabama where you can reel in the adventure of a lifetime. And they're good! Discover unparalleled access to pristine waters loaded with everything from crappie to catfish to bass. So whether you're looking to load your cooler or catch a trophy, plan your next adventure by heading over to NorthAlabama.org.